team, and Brady is still great. But Mahomes is still the best I've ever seen. Even in the Super Bowl loss, my memory of the most spectacular player on the field was Mahomes, who had no protection, was facing a great defense. Todd Bowles, the defensive coordinator for the Bucs, leaves everyone in coverage because you only have to bring 4. And yet on almost all the snaps, or more than half the snaps, Mahomes is running for his life, and then everyone's also covered. And still, he did things. Like all the plays that I remember in that game, like, oh my God, have I ever seen that, were Mahomes. If Mahomes is protected and has a semblance of a defense, I like the Chiefs, and that goes for always. If you ask me the matchup, if you ask me the year, if you ask me, what round of the playoffs, number of wins, all that stuff, if Mahomes has an offensive line and a semblance of a defense, I think his team will always win the most.
Well, yeah, you're probably right in regards to that, because anytime you're talking about Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill having, those are individuals you have to throw the ball to, particularly on any given Sunday. I think that before playoff time, they just go out there like the road runners and the elite people that they are, and they handle their business. In the case of Tom Brady, he knows about pacing, and he's willing to take some lumps early on to fine-tune things so he's ready when it really, really counts. So I can see that. I don't want to say taking things for granted, because I certainly am not accusing the GOAT of that. But what I'm saying is that prioritizing a little bit better than the Kansas City Chiefs have, I think definitely goes a long way. And so because of that, I think that Patrick Mahomes, combined with how he got slaughtered in the Super Bowl, I think he's going to come out this year with a vengeance. They're going to run roughshod over a lot of people during the regular season. That's not going to be a priority for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And as a result, I think the Chiefs will end up having a better record than the Buccaneers during the regular season. Doesn't mean they'll have more success in the postseason, but I do believe they'll have a better record in the regular season.
Yeah, Mahomes 38-8 in the regular season for his career.
Yep. All right, we'll keep it moving here. Now in the AFC North, guys, Baltimore projected to win the division with 11 W's, while the Cleveland Browns, who bolstered their defense, are expected to win 10 games. Stephen A., Ravens or Browns, who will have more wins in your humble?
I'm rolling with the Ravens because I'm going to go on history. I'm going to go on tradition. I'm going to go on the greatness of Lamar Jackson with those wheels of his. I'm going to assume they're going to upgrade at the receiver spot during the draft. And I know that their defense is going to be there. I just think that they're more reliable, more experienced. Even though I love Stefanski and the job that he's done thus far, and he's got a lot of promise moving forward in the future. I love the job that he did. It comes down to me betting on Lamar Jackson over Baker Mayfield. That's just how I view it, and that's why I think the Ravens are going to have more wins than the Browns.
I think the Browns are going to have more wins than the Ravens. And let's not forget, they both ended on 11 wins. And the reason the Ravens had 11 and the Browns weren't on 12 is because Lamar Jackson did indeed beat Baker Mayfield when they met head-to-head. That's partly because Lamar Jackson was the last guy to touch the ball. I mean, I got the feeling had Baker been the last guy to touch the ball, the Browns would have won. It was a 50-50 kind of game. Now, what did the Browns need in the offseason, right? Well, they need their corners to get healthy. Ostensibly, their corners will be healthy. Greedy and obviously Denzel Ward should be good to go this year. They need a little safety help. They signed John Johnson. They needed another pass rusher or another guy up front. They got Jadeveon Clowney. I mean, they did pretty well in the offseason, and the draft hasn't even happened yet. By the way, they also get Odell back. And I have questions about the way Odell and Baker Mayfield will coexist. But I have to imagine, even if Odell's better off without Baker and Baker better off without Odell, or at least with the stuff they could get for Odell, I have to imagine that Odell will be additive. In other words, another crazy dynamic offensive weapon will make the team better. And so just in terms of the guys getting healthy and coming back, not to mention the free agents coming in, you look at this Browns roster, I think they've gotten better, and it was about a toss-up between them and the Browns last season. The draft hasn't happened yet, by the way. They're also going to get better in the draft. Meantime, Lamar Jackson is still looking for not just a kind of a 50-50 ball receiver who can do that at an elite level, not so easy to find. They haven't been able to find him one yet, but also another dynamic pass-catching weapon. He's a couple of dynamic playmaking offensive pieces away, I think, from really challenging for a Super Bowl. Now, I like Lamar Jackson as a quarterback a little more than I like Baker Mayfield as a quarterback. But Baker has more to work with, especially, and then you add to all that, they had the best offensive line in football the Browns did last year. I like the Browns.
Well, keep in mind that the Ravens have added Sammy Watkins to their squad. I don't think that he's a scrub. I think we got to pay attention to that. You still got Hollywood Brown there, and when you look at it from that perspective, I'm going to give respect where respect is due. Dobbins is no scrub running the football as well. I'm going to pay attention to that. And again, their defense, they always show up in Baltimore, and I think it's one of those situations where Cleveland is on a come up, and I'll give them a lot of credit for that. But they're not going to catch anybody by surprise, and I think people are going to be alert about them and ready to go. And I think that it ultimately does come down to Baker Mayfield. I like Clowney as an addition with Garrett on the defensive line. I see what they've done in their secondary as well. You look at what they have offensively, and whether it's Chubb or Kareem Hunt running the football, whether it's Landry or Odell Beckham Jr. catching the football, it ultimately comes down to Baker Mayfield. And when you ask me about the Ravens versus the Browns, you're asking me about Lamar Jackson versus Baker Mayfield. And I'm not going to give Baker Mayfield the edge against Lamar Jackson. I'm pleased with what I've seen from Baker Mayfield. He's improved a lot. He's validated those progressive commercials that he had. I can no longer say he has more progressive commercials than wins. I give him a lot of credit where credit is due in regards to that. But it's still not enough for me to label them as a team superior to the Baltimore Ravens in this upcoming season.
Here's the problem with the Browns now, though. As I mentioned, last year, the best offensive line, blocking for the run and protecting the passer. Both. You know, it's rare that a line does both those things better than any other team in the game. So you have that kind of line, and then you mentioned it, Chubb and Kareem Hunt running the ball and catching passes out of the backfield. Behind that line, you can know that's coming. Good luck stopping it. Now, how do you really stop that? Well, you say, well, if the quarterback can't find targets down the field, you could stop it. But he can, Stephen A. Does he do it well enough? I think the answer is yes. He's not Patrick Mahomes, but he does that well enough. And then who's he throwing the ball to? Odell Beckham Jr. and Jarvis Landry and Njoku, a couple of good tight ends. Hooper, you know, like he has guys who can catch the ball and guys who can do it at very high levels. So they can run the ball. You know that's coming. Good luck stopping it. And they're dynamic on offense. That's before they made the defense. Again, coming into the season, they need some depth at quarterback. They could use a safety. They could use a defensive end. They got all those things except the cornerback already. The draft hasn't happened yet. I expect the Browns to be Super Bowl contenders.
What did you say 2 years ago when they had Freddie Kitchens and Baker Mayfield together? What did you predict for the Browns?
I thought that this would be the case then, and Freddie Kitchens was not the man for the job.
Okay. Oh, it's that simple, huh?
But do you think the current coach is Stephen A.?
I think he's got potential. I think he's a significant upgrade to Freddie Kitchens. But I think you had the Browns going to the AFC Championship game that year, didn't you?
Why are you bringing up old stuff? Always 2 years ago. Every bad prediction
did
I ever
they even
made.
make the playoffs?
I'm going to start remembering your bad predictions and throwing them at you.
That's not your bad prediction. Don't even go there with that. That is not your bad prediction.
Yes, it is, Molly, and I don't know what you're talking about.
Prediction
the point is, of course it is. That's
all
what I'm known
I know
for.
Is I'm dying over here with my allergies, so don't even worry. I can't even hear anything. Call me when there's a vaccine for pollen, because I'm literally dying right now. All right, let's go to America's teams. So the I'm serious, Cowboys and Patriots, both projected to have 9 wins. Max, who's going to have more wins? Is it the Cowboys? Remember, they have their quarterback, Dak Prescott, back, or the Patriots, who we don't know who they have. Cam, Stidham, maybe they're going to draft one.
The Patriots are going to have more wins. The Patriots had 7 wins last year with a brand new quarterback coming off a catastrophic injury, having a bad season by the end of the season, partly because coming off the catastrophic injury, coming into a completely different situation and system with a brand new coach and all that. It was also a COVID year. No practice, no preseason.